The first order of the day was to move the Travelall back in the driveway to make room for something I'll talk about a bit later. So here I am out in the garage on Sunday morning, sorry. It's a beautiful day outside, it's about 60 degrees, so I'm trying to get out here and get as much done as I can. This is really weird talking to a camera, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is my ghetto garage. I pulled the Scout out already. You can see there's no floor in here because the way this garage was built, it was built in 1925, and it had no floor. It was a dirt floor. The doctor that we bought this house from put in a raised floor, and he used to do like models and stuff out here, and he actually enclosed the whole thing in. I got in here, and when I bought my Scout, we cut a hole in the front and took out the floor so that we could put two large, they're like 16 by 10s, and put them in here, 16 by 8s, put them in here as rails to park the truck on top of. And that's basically, this is my ghetto garage, and I've got stuff crammed in here everywhere. So today what I'm doing first is I'm sanding down, I sanded and mudded down this fender, and so it's got another coat, and I'm going to wait for this to dry and just keep trying to feather it out and smooth it out. It's coming along pretty well. I'm getting close to being done in this. I just basically have to work on this area here and just get this area smoothed out. There's some bumps and other things here, so just very gently work on this and try to get this ridge to be even and smooth. And that will pretty much be done. The other thing I'm working on today are the rear seats. I've got to take this whole thing apart, and I've got to get all of this garbage off of it, clean it up, wire wheel it, hit it with encapsulator, and spray it with black paint so that it's ready and it looks like the ones that are already in the back of the truck here. These have already been done and are ready to go. They're basically ready for upholstery. So when I get all of the seats done, then I can make plans to get up to see my friend Jeff and get the upholstery done on these. So today's goal is to put on a very good mask and tear all this junk off of here. As you can see, there have been some critters in here. They've eaten through some of this upholstery and this other stuff. When I opened this stuff up originally, all sorts of nuts and twigs and all kinds of other crap fell out. So I'm going to hope that I don't get the hunter virus. Right now what I'm doing is taking the bolts off. I'll take these two bolts off so I can take the bottom seat off, and I can clean these hinges up. These hinges are actually outside the fabric, and I've got to clean up the hinges here and basically just get everything ready to go. So that's where we're starting today. This was absolutely the most boring part of the whole thing, basically taking some Eastwood rust encapsulator and painting on every surface that I could get to. This included all of the little tiny fiddly wire bits, just making sure that everything was coated, because the insides of these things had absorbed all kinds of moisture and were really pretty rusty by the time I got them. So this is going to hopefully seal everything up and make sure that no more rust continues, and also just try to protect what metal is left there. So here I'm using an orbital sander to knock down all the high points on the mud that I put on this fender, blowing it off, and now I'm using a block to basically smooth things out and get things as flat as I can. This has been an ongoing process. It's taken a bunch of different steps and a couple of different layers to get things nice and smooth. The work continues. It's not quite there yet, and I'm still trying to build that ridge up that I mentioned earlier, but it's come a long way and it looks a ton better than it did before. So here's the passenger fender, and basically I'm just cleaning up the inside, hitting the stuff I had welded with some etch primer, and I'd added some seam sealer to the round area. So here's where we stand with the fender on the Travelall. It's slowly coming together. I've still got to work on this edge a bit more. This, you can see here there's some pock marks and stuff. I've got to fill that in, but I've also got to make this line better and bring it down and feather it out. It's got to come down and just sort of gently fade out to about here. And it's not quite there yet. We're getting there though. It's just, you know, it's like anything else, it takes time. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with the way it's looking. This has got to get knocked down. So I hit it with a bunch of sandable primer so I can see where the lines are and what's going on. This needs to be sanded down. So I'll probably do that tonight, but that's looking pretty good. I moved the truck back a bunch because of things that are going to be happening in the next couple of weeks. More detail on that later. And the other thing I did was hit this with some wet sanding paper and fill this area in with seam sealer. That'll clean this whole thing up and get this thing all nice and sealed up. And then I'll hit this with a couple more coats of it's basically just the IH Implement Red, which is going to be fine for the time being. I mean, there's like 8 different types of paint on the truck right now. This is actually old. This is from an old can of IH Red, Implement Red, that I used after I finished all the body work on this part. And for whatever reason, it came out really dull. I don't know what the deal was there. You know, eventually I'm going to come back and I'm going to cut some more wood for this. I'll wind up cutting this whole section out and replacing this, then some more steel for that. But that's in the future. It's not going to happen right now. And then both seats are done, and I will turn to that in just a minute. Finishing up for the evening, I just shot these with spray paint, clean them all up. They are both just about ready to go to Jeff's. They're looking pretty good. All of the hog rings are off of them. They're completely bathed in encapsulator, so hopefully they're in good shape. So here's what I was hinting at earlier. I found out about a Travelall that was available up in Pennsylvania through my friend Bennett, and we drove up this weekend to go pick it up. It was in the backyard of a lady's house, and she needed to get rid of it, and we just happened to have a trailer, and I just happened to have some room in my driveway to store it. It didn't come without a fight. 3 of the tires were flat, and on the tire that did hold air, the drum was frozen solid. So we had to use the winch and drag it up onto the trailer, which wasn't too big a deal. You'll also notice that it's facing the wrong way. The engine is over the back axles. We did actually remedy this situation. Here you can see what we're dealing with. It's been sitting for a good long time. It's pretty rusty. That wheel did not want to let go, but it's up on the trailer. So what we did here was strap it down really good and tight and drag it out of the backyard. And basically down the road, there was an empty restaurant. And here we backed it up to that steel post you see on the left. Bennett pulled the truck forward. You know, we unstrapped everything else. Bennett pulled the truck forward, and we basically pulled it off the trailer with enough space to get around it. You'll see here there was a bit of jockeying back and forth. We basically had to pull the trailer out from underneath it. From here, we could winch it onto the trailer frontwise so that all the weight was ahead of the axle to make it safer to tow. As we got further into the day, it started to snow, and then it would get sunny, and then it would snow. Just nutty weather, but at least it was clear enough to do this. Bennett is a master at jockeying the trailer around, so in just a couple minutes, he had it lined up with the truck, and we were ready to get started. So here we put the ramps down, let out the winch, and started winching it up onto the trailer. And just about the time Bennett said, "Hey, this battery's doing really well," the battery decided it wanted to die. This is right about the time we were getting it oriented on the trailer, and I think it was right about here the battery decided it had no more to give. Right about this time, this dude stopped by and said, "Hey, I have a Travelall just like that. I just sold it," which was kind of funny. So we continued dicking around with ratchet straps and come-alongs until we unhooked the Ford and just basically turned it around and juiced the battery with a set of battery cables. And we were able to get it all the way up onto the trailer. That was about an hour and a half of fooling around, but it was worth it because the truck drove really well after that. And we made it home through
all kinds of sunshine and then clouds and then snow showers and then sunshine. It was just a really bizarre day. I don't know if you can see the snow in this clip, but it was coming down pretty heavy at certain points, and then it would stop. That's Pennsylvania for you. So we got it back to my house, and thankfully there wasn't a whole lot of traffic out in front of my place. It only took 2 tries to get it oriented in the driveway really well, which was, again, a testament to Bennett's skill in driving, but it was super easy, and we tucked it right in front of the other Travelall. And then we tied it off to a telephone pole behind the Travelall and did the same thing we did in the parking lot. Just basically pulled the Ford forward and slowly pulled the trailer out from underneath the truck. And because it was sitting on 3 flats and 1 frozen drum, we didn't have to worry about it rolling backwards and hitting the red bus. So that's where we end this adventure for this week. I'm going to do a full walk around of the truck probably next week or so and detail everything that I find. Try to do an estimation of everything I'm going to keep and everything I'm going to sell, and show you guys what I've got on my hands. As always, a big thanks to Bennett and a big thanks to my wife for letting me store this thing here until I can part it out and get rid of it. If you've made it this far in the video, you're probably still pretty interested in Travelalls. To keep this thing going, I've got a storefront up at threadless.com. There are all sorts of designs there: Travelalls, Travelettes, Scouts, and other designs. I'll put a link in the description. Thanks for watching.